Nobody told you the truth about how money actually moves. They handed you a story that income is earned hour by hour, that every dollar in your pocket is directly tied to time you spent working. Trade your hours, collect your pay, that's the deal. Except it isn't, not for everyone. Some people cracked a completely different code, one where money keeps flowing whether they show up or not. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through 6 of those business models, ranked from the smallest starting investment to the largest, so you can figure out where you actually fit in. I'm saving the last one for a reason. It's the dullest thing on this entire list. So unremarkable that you've probably passed it 100 times, without a second thought. But when you see how it works, everything else I'm about to tell you is going to click in a whole new way. So let's start here. Picture collecting money from a property you don't own. You never signed a mortgage. You didn't walk into a bank. Your name isn't on the title. And at the end of the stay, the person who used that space leaves you a glowing 5-star review. Strange? A little. Illegal? Not at all. Welcome to business number 1. It's called rental arbitrage. And once it makes sense to you, you'll never look at a lease agreement the same way again. Here's the basic structure. You find an apartment in a desirable spot, somewhere near a tourist attraction, a major transit hub, a city center, or a neighborhood people actually want to visit. You rent it the normal way. You show up, you sign a lease, you pay the landlord every month. But before you sign, you have one critical conversation. You ask the owner, in writing, for permission to sublet the place on short-term rental platforms. A surprising number of landlords agree, especially if you're willing to pay slightly above the going rate. Now you've got a unit you rent for, say, $800 a month. You furnish it with some care, get decent photos taken, and post it on Airbnb at $70 to $120 per night. If it books for just 20 nights in a month, you're pulling in anywhere from $2,400 to $2,400. Subtract your $800. Whatever's left is yours. That is rental arbitrage, generating landlord-level money without being a landlord. Getting started requires somewhere between $5,000 and $15,000, enough to cover your deposit, first month's rent, and the cost of furnishing the space. That's it. No mortgage approval, no property purchase. But the real power isn't in the first unit. It's in what happens once that unit is running smoothly. Because the system you build for one apartment, the automated guest messaging, the software that adjusts nightly prices based on real-time demand, the cleaning crew that moves through on schedule, the smart lock that handles check-in without any human involvement, that exact same system scales. You don't rebuild anything. You just plug in the next apartment, then the next. There are people operating 20, even 30 units this way, none of which they own, none of which required a bank loan. They started with one apartment and one system. The system did the rest. Here's what that looks like in practice. Dynamic pricing software monitors market. Conditions and updates. Your nightly rate automatically. Guest communications are handled end-to-end, from the moment of booking through checkout, without you typing a single word. The cleaning team works off a set protocol. Nobody's waiting on your instructions. You check the numbers. That's essentially the job. Now, maybe the startup cost is still too steep. Maybe $10,000 isn't sitting around. Fine, the next business starts with nothing. $0. There are people right now earning money from a design they created 2 years ago. They don't remember making it. They don't know the buyer. They didn't ship anything. They just got a notification on their phone that money arrived. That's not luck. That's an asset doing its job. Business number 2. No warehouse. No inventory counting on a weekend. No packaging tape. No customer service calls. What you're building instead is called print on demand. The mechanics are straightforward. You create a design, a phrase, an illustration, a visual idea that speaks directly to a specific group of people. You upload it to a platform like Printful, Printify, or Merch by Amazon. That platform connects your design to a product, a shirt, a hoodie, a mug, a phone case. When someone places an order, the platform prints it, packages it, and ships it. You never see the product. You see the deposit. The cost to start can genuinely be $0 if you can design yourself. If not, a few $100s will get you someone who can. Margins run between 70% and 90% because there's no inventory you're pre-buying and hoping sells. Here's the trap most people fall into immediately: designing for everyone. A mug for nurses, a shirt for dog owners. Too broad. Nobody feels like it was made for them. Now try this: a shirt for night shift. ER nurses who've given up on ever having a normal sleep schedule. Mug for dog owners who wake up at 5 a.m. for a walk before the neighborhood is awake. That level of specificity is what makes someone stop scrolling and buy without deliberating. Every design you upload sits on the platform. Indefinitely. Selling. Available around the clock. A catalog of 50 well-targeted designs has the potential to generate steady income every single month with no further involvement from you. The print-on-demand market cleared $13 billion last year. It's growing at 26% annually. Most of that money flows to people who uploaded a first design at some point and kept going. You create the asset once. The asset handles the rest: printing, packing, shipping, all of it, while you do something else entirely. Selling a design on a shirt still involves a manufacturer, a shipper, a material cost. But what if the thing you sold had no production cost at all? No printing, no delivery, no raw materials, just what you know. Think about the conversations you have on repeat. Someone asks you how you do something. You walk them through it. 3 weeks later, a different person asks the exact same question. You give the same answer. At some point, part of your brain starts to wish you could just forward them something and be done with it. That instinct is a business. Specifically, business number 3, and the one that leaves the most money sitting unclaimed. Because that thing you've explained so many times it feels automatic. To the person who doesn't know it yet, it's genuinely worth paying for. A course, a workbook, a template, an ebook. You build it once. After that, it sells on its own. No calendar blocks, no repetition, no time zones. Someone on the other side of the world buys it at 3 a.m. and gets it instantly, without you even knowing it happened until you check your phone. Most people assume this space is already too crowded, or that you'd have to be a world-class authority to charge for anything. Neither is true. You don't have to be the best in the room. You have to know more than the person who is just starting. And often, the person who learned something 2 years ago teaches it better than a 20-year expert does, because they still remember what confusion feels like. If you genuinely feel like you have nothing to package, there are 2 routes. The first, use AI. Today, you can research a subject, build a complete course structure, and create the content with AI assistance in a fraction of the time it would have taken 5 years ago. You're not fabricating expertise. You're organizing information into something people can actually use, and that has real value. The second route is one even fewer people consider. You don't have to create the product at all. There are platforms where you can sell courses made by other creators and collect a commission on every sale. You handle the promotion. They supply the knowledge. Both sides benefit. Startup cost runs from $0 to $5,000. Monthly income, once the product is live, can fall anywhere from $1,000 to $7,000, with somewhere between 2 and 5 hours of involvement per week. The mistake that kills this before it starts is identical to print on demand. Selling to everyone means selling to no one. A productivity course for busy people is noise. A productivity course for freelance writers, juggling multiple deadlines while working from a home with 2 kids in it. That sells. Specificity isn't optional. It's the whole thing. And what you just heard? Create something once. Let it keep generating, shows up again in business number 5, but in a form you probably aren't expecting yet. The global digital education market is over $300 billion a year. Not because people suddenly became more curious, but because the right information at the right time has become worth more than most degrees. And what makes this genuinely passive is almost embarrassingly simple. A digital file doesn't wear out, run out, or need to be restocked. You upload it to a platform once. The platform handles payment, delivery, and record keeping automatically. A customer halfway around the world completes the transaction and receives the product, with no one lifting a finger. All right, everything so far lives in a screen. But there's an entirely separate world making money in the background, one most people walk past without registering. The fourth business is probably within a few minutes of where you're sitting right now. Vending machines. Stay with me. I know, this one shows up on every list. It's mentioned in every article, every video. And because of that, a lot of people write it off. If it's everywhere, they figure it can't be serious anymore. That's backwards. If it keeps showing up, it's because people keep making money from it. That's the only reason anything stays on a list. The model is straightforward. You buy a machine, anywhere from $2,500 to $6,000, depending on the type. You place it somewhere people pass through and need something quickly. A gym, an office building, a hospital waiting room. From that moment, it runs on its own. Somewhere between $300 and $600 per machine per month, with 1 to 2 hours of your time per week, mostly restocking and collecting. But here's the number almost nobody runs before they start. 1 machine is nice. 5 machines is a real income stream. 10 machines is an operation. And the management system you build for machine 1 scales across, all of them without rebuilding anything. There are operators who built businesses clearing $300,000 a year from this. They work 4 hours a week, not 4 hours a day, per week. What makes it autonomous is the machine itself. Every transaction is processed automatically. No employee required. Modern machines report inventory levels and cash totals in real time, straight to your phone. You know what's running low before you make the drive. You're not there managing. You're monitoring remotely and showing up when it's time. That idea, being informed without being present, gets taken much further in business number 6. But first, something that takes the vending machine concept and applies it to something people need every single day without fail. There's a category of business that nobody talks about much because it doesn't generate excitement. It doesn't trend. It doesn't look impressive in a highlight reel. And that's exactly why it keeps printing money decade after decade. Through recessions, through disruptions, through everything. Business number 5, laundromats. Yes, that place. The one you've passed 1,000 times. With the humming machines and the plastic chairs. The one with no one behind a counter. The one that's open at odd hours and never seems to close. That completely unassuming space has operated profitably for decades. Here's a question. When did you last hear about a laundromat shutting down because nobody needed it? Right, because clothes always get dirty. Through every financial downturn, through a pandemic, through any kind of upheaval you can imagine, people always need clean clothes, and not everyone has a washer and dryer at home. That's what's called indestructible demand, and it's what sets this apart from everything else on this list. The investment is significant, between $200,000 and $600,000 to acquire or build a facility. This isn't entry-level. It requires real capital, and it makes sense to say so outright. But look at the other side of that equation. Monthly revenue ranging from $5,000 to $30,000, depending on size and location. And owner time investment, between 4 and 15 hours per week. There are owners who oversee multiple locations entirely through an app. No physical presence required on a daily basis. Card-based payment systems handle all transactions. Remote monitoring dashboards show you which machines are running, how much revenue came in today, and whether anything needs attention, all in real time. Automated alerts flag problems before they become expensive. You don't have to be there to know what's happening. The business tells you, and the nature of the model itself does a lot of the work. The customer arrives, loads the machine, pays, waits, collects, and leaves. Nobody needs to explain anything to them. Nobody needs to guide them. There's no service interaction at all. The machine handles the transaction completely. The laundromat industry in the United States generates $5 billion a year. Most of it belongs to people who looked at a boring business and saw something everyone else overlooked. While others chased the next flashy opportunity, these owners let their machines run. Here we are, the final one. And I want to be upfront. It's the most underwhelming sounding thing on this entire list. You're right if you think that. But it's also the most powerful, and the one with the highest income ceiling. Let me explain why. Metal frames, roll-up doors, padlocks, long rows of empty units under fluorescent lights. Nothing about this screams opportunity. Nothing about it gets people excited. And yet it consistently outperforms far more glamorous businesses and has done so for years. Self-storage, storage units. The model is almost embarrassingly simple. People accumulate more than their homes can hold. Stuff from a move. Stuff they inherited and can't bring themselves to sell. Business inventory. Equipment from a side project that stalled. All of it needs somewhere to go. You provide the space. They pay you every month to have it. The investment is the steepest on this list. $1.5 million or more. For a new facility. Real capital. But consider what's on the other side. An income ceiling that surpasses everything else we've discussed. And owner involvement of under 2 hours per week with proper systems in place. 2 hours per week. How does a business run without its owner? The customer finds an available unit online, books and pays digitally, signs a contract without ever speaking to a person, accesses their unit through a code or an app. If payment fails, the system applies a late fee automatically. If the account stays delinquent, the system sends escalating notifications and begins the formal process. You don't pick up the phone. You don't chase anyone down. The system does it. There's no inventory on your end because the customer supplies their own. A small facility can operate with no full-time employees. And the physical infrastructure, metal walls, rolling doors, basic lighting, is about as low maintenance as commercial property gets. There's simply not much that goes wrong. But here's the piece that makes this a compounding income machine. The average self-storage customer stays for more than 14 months. That's 14 Months of automatic monthly payments from a single person who signed once. You didn't retain them through service. You didn't run a promotion. They just stayed because they needed the space, and moving everything out was more effort than paying the monthly fee. You're not replacing customers every month. The customers you have keep renewing without being asked to. And while they do, the money comes in without any action from you. The self-storage industry in the United States alone generates more than $40 billion per year. It has quietly been one of the strongest performing sectors in commercial real estate for over a decade. Not because it's exciting, because it works consistently, without fanfare. And that brings us to the idea connecting all 6 of these businesses. None of them are going to make you look impressive at a dinner party. None of them promise quick results. All of them require real work up front. But all of them share one thing that almost no conventional source of income has: a system that keeps producing when you stop being involved. Right now, while you finish watching this, a storage unit somewhere is generating rent automatically. A laundromat has machines running without anyone watching. A vending machine just dispensed something to a night shift worker. A design someone uploaded 2 years ago just sold on a shirt. A digital course is being purchased by someone in a different time zone at 4 a.m. An apartment is welcoming guests through an automated system while its operator sleeps. 6 models. 6 ways to disconnect income from your constant presence. The question isn't which one is theoretically the best. The question is which one matches what you actually have to work with, right now, this week, before a good idea becomes just another thing you meant to look into. If you made it here, you already know how this works. Every video has something you can actually apply. Not filler, not recycled advice, real specific information. If that's what you're here for, subscribe. You know where the button is. And tell me below, what does your income situation look like right now? If you already have something running that doesn't depend on you being on call, at all hours, share it. That comment section might turn into the most useful conversation you have today.